The next two speakers represent Noble's version of the valedictorian. Each year, two speakers are elected by their class, one male and one female, to offer final words on behalf of the class. This year, those speakers are David Henderson and Nairi Brown, who in their own distinct ways represent the best aspects of students at Nobles. Each is dynamic, deeply and broadly committed to various aspects of the school. They are individuals of impressive character, leadership, achievement, and intelligence, and they are both excellent representatives of what have been some of the most admirable qualities of the class of 2016. We'll hear first from David, to be followed by Nairi.
Thank you.
Almost 5 years ago, my mom and I began meeting with an educational consultant to discuss what private schools might fit me best. I soon got my heart set on Concord Academy. The consultant described Concord as a cozy sweater, and that's exactly what I thought I wanted. A warm, cozy, tight-knit sweater. I visited Concord and indeed picked up on that sweater vibe. In contrast, I remember visiting Nobles and thinking, yeah, I'm not really getting that here. To make a long story short, I loved Concord, but Concord didn't love me. They felt so-so about me, or whatever emotion is equivalent with waitlisting somebody. To my surprise, though, I got into Nobles, which meant I had to start seriously considering coming here. I won't bore you with the details of my decision process, because I'm up here talking to you, so clearly I chose Nobles. Now, you have to understand I knew nothing about Nobles. I'm not somebody with a grandparent or parent who went here. In fact, nobody in my entire family has ever even gone to private school. Even to this day, my grandfather will occasionally refer to this place as Barnes and Noble, and sometimes I'm really not sure he's joking. So, in September of 2012, I stepped into a completely new world, and very shortly after, found myself feeling hopelessly lost. Everything that I had thought I had been good at seemed to fade away. At my old school, I had been one of the smart kids. I got here, saw William Wang, and knew that gig was up. I had played soccer for 8 years. I gave up on the idea of continuing before I even got here. I thought it was good that at least I liked theater, because I thought Nobles was really more of a sports school. I soon realized there were tons of professionally trained actors all around me. Any ideas of who I was and what I was good at were shattered. Everywhere I looked, somebody was more talented, somebody was smarter, and in my eyes, everywhere I looked, somebody was just better. So, just as I had done in middle school, I shrunk into myself. At my old school, I had felt invisible, and here, I felt even more invisible. I experienced rejection after rejection, and I began to see myself as a loser who didn't really belong here. Maybe I shouldn't have left my old school. Maybe I'm not good enough to be here. Maybe I should go back to public school. At least they don't have a dress code. A quick aside, I was looking at some of the outfits I wore freshman year and thinking, honestly, I really should have broken dress code if these were my other options. Anyway, I continued on. Naturally, things eventually got a little better for me as time went on, but not enough to assure me that I had made the right choice coming here. I learned how to manage my work and started doing pretty well in my classes, which was a nice change from my continual C's in Kellenbeck geometry. I made more friends and connected with incredible faculty, but I still didn't feel like a true part of this community, and I certainly didn't feel as if people knew who I really was. That didn't come until my junior year, when I gave a NED talk for the first time. For those of you who don't know, I spoke about living with type 1 diabetes, something I've had since I was 6 years old. While I thought the talk would be a good idea, I never thought it would so dramatically alter the course of my Nobles journey. Sure, I was proud of the courage I had to speak in front of the whole school, and I was relieved that people laughed. But what that talk did for me was so much more than give people some information or a few laughs. It changed how people saw me, but it also changed how I saw Nobles. The reaction from this community astounded me. People, whether I knew them or not, reached out to me and congratulated me for what I had done. People were actually interested in what I had to say. From that time on, I realized how incredibly lucky I was to be in such a supportive and caring community. People wanted me to succeed, and people actually wanted to hear my story. It hadn't been like that at my old school. I started to realize just how special this place is and how much I needed to appreciate my time here. Not only that, but I had finally found a way to show the community who I really was and give them a taste of my personality. It wasn't until then that I carried myself with a confidence that had never been there before. If it weren't for that, I doubt I'd be standing here today. So, what's the point? The point is that I never really was invisible. There were always people here who saw who I really was, or at least wanted to. The only person that thought I was a loser was myself, and that's what dragged me down. That's what prevented me from showing people who I really was. I was caught up in things like making the newspaper or getting a role in the play. But opportunities like those only came after I was confident in who I was as a person. I had to trust myself a little more. Really, I had to like myself a little more, or truthfully, a lot more. So no matter who you are, what grade you're in, or what sports you do, there are people here who see you. Maybe it's the Mr. Denning who calls you at 9 on a Friday night because he knows you just got deferred from college and he knows you're feeling as if you won't get in anywhere. Maybe it's the Mr. Ho who notices that you aren't acting yourself in class even when you yourself hadn't noticed, so he checks in with you. Or maybe it's the Mr. Sheeran who, when the most important person in your life, your mom, is about to have lung surgery, talks with you after school for a half hour and continually checks in with you. Why? Because despite your strong attitude at home, and despite your attempt to act tough, he knows that truthfully, you are absolutely terrified. People at this school are here for you, and they care about you deeply. Sometimes you have to be vulnerable. Sometimes you have to ask for help. But most of the time, people see you need help before you've even mentioned the problem. They were there for me, ready to help. I must also add that from day one, I was supported by my wonderful mom, dad, and brother. They've always been here for me, and on the days when I was sad and had no hope, they got me to keep going and try one more day. My mom is my hero, and she has always been my biggest fan. As embarrassing as it may be now, when I was struggling, my mom would joke with me about an ant who defied the odds by knocking down a rubber tree, even when everybody told him he couldn't. That story got me through, and to this day, my mom still calls me Aunt. Finally, there are 123 other very special people I need to thank. I'd like to thank my wonderful class for voting me to give this speech. I'm incredibly honored, especially given that any one of you could have given a memorable and special speech. I've never felt more seen in my life, and it took you guys to help me get there, along with my parents, teachers, and lastly, myself. What I know now, and what I wish I had known earlier, is that there is always somebody looking out for you, and there's always somebody that sees you. However, I have also learned that the most important person that needs to see you is yourself. Thank you.